What's up, guys? You ever been to a restaurant and have a meal that you thought, oh, that's fantastic, I gotta make that at home, and I think I can do it, but it sounds complicated. I've got one for you right now. Shogayaki, Japanese ginger pork. Sounds similar to teriyaki, but it's not. It's got ginger in it. Really thin sliced pork, ginger, served with green cabbage, nice and sliced up. And then in this area, you can use, like in fine shishito peppers, you can use them. But if not, you can thinly slice poblano peppers and grill them up and put some tomatoes in there for color. And it's fantastic. I can show you how to do it. Doesn't take long, and you can do it. Well, let's get going. Now you're going to slice some onions up. And then you're also going to slice the cabbage up. Put both in an individual container with some cold water to stay crisp. Then grab a spoon, scrape the ginger skin off. Then you're going to use your microplaner, capture all those juices, and microplane that ginger. Prior to cutting, you want to put your pork in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes. It allows you to cut nice thin pieces easier. And then once those pieces are cut, you're going to poke holes in the center and cut little slits all the way around it. What this does is it allows it to stay flat in the frying pan to get a nice sear, more flavor. Now it's time for the seasoning. Only one we're using here is freshly ground black pepper. If you don't use that, you don't know what you're missing. No salt on this, there's plenty of salt in the sauce. Remember, flip, get both sides, pepper up both sides of those pork. Next, grab a container with some potato starch. If you don't have potato starch, you can use cornstarch. But make sure you cover each one of those pieces with this, shake off the excess, and then set it aside. This is a critical step because this starch helps soak up all the flavors when we're frying, and that sauce is going to be infused in this pork. Now we've had our frying pan on the fire for about 2 to 3 minutes to let it heat up. Then we're going to add about a tablespoon and a half of butter and maybe about a tablespoon of olive oil. Butter's for some flavor, and the olive oil is to help the butter not burn. And we're going to drop our onions in there to get them to get nice and caramelized. You want to mix it up good, make sure it's all covered in that fat. Now we're going to give it some love. By that I mean some salt and pepper. Look at that sizzle. Grab yourself a container, and in a container put 3 tablespoons of your favorite soy sauce, followed by 3 tablespoons of Mirin. Then add 3 tablespoons of sake. If you don't have sake, you can use dry sherry. Then you're going to put 2 teaspoons of the sugar, about a tablespoon of our ginger, and 1 tablespoon of water, and give it a good mix. Now we go back to our onions, and you can see they're almost translucent, almost done. By the magic of time, they're done. Then we're going to take those out, just put them in a bowl on the side. Keep them because we're going to be using them in a few minutes later. Now put that pan back on the heat, medium heat. Add yourself about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. If you don't want to use that, you can use beef tallow, or you can use just butter. And we're going to add our thinly sliced pork once that oil has come up and get to temp. Put those pieces in there. Make sure you set them in away from you so you don't get splashed. Now we're going to saute these about 3 to 4 minutes each side. It's been about 3 to 4 minutes. Now it's time for a flip, and you can see this delicious golden brown crust that's starting to form. You don't want to get it too dark. You don't want to cook all the way through, just so it's not pink anymore, because because we're going to finish it in the sauce. Take your first batch out, put it aside, add some more oil, get the second batch in. You don't want to do too many in one there, because instead of a saute or a fry, it'll be a steam, and that's not the same flavor. Now that your pieces are cooked, don't be afraid to flip them again to give them a good look. Then we're going to put all the cooked pieces back in the pan. Still on medium heat. We're going to add back in our onions at this time. And next is the sauce. But prior to doing that, give the sauce a good stir. Make sure it's all mixed together before putting it in. And then when you do, wait till you see and smell that sizzle. Let this simmer for a couple minutes, let it stir, flip it over, get all those flavors on that pork. You can see it start to infuse. Flip them over, shake it up a little bit, mix that sizzle up. Now our pork is done, set it aside, get yourself a small frying pan. Now you're going to put a little bit of olive oil in it. Now in the shishito peppers and the cherry tomatoes. Give this a good roast. Get some color on that, and then you're almost ready to plate. Enough looking. Now it's time to taste test. And we have our official taste tester. Gotta make sure the missus is happy. Well, it appears that you did it. She's happy. Well done.
That's really good.